All right, guys. So now we're going to dive deeper with some specific stories and examples. Sebastian Forget has some real-life information to share with us. I can't wait to hear more myself. Sebastian Forget, the stage is yours.
Thank you. So I'm going to skip the presentation of who I am and who's Solution Matrix. So really, examples we're gonna, and by the way, I'm gonna piggyback in both of your presentation here. Same topic. So there's new way or new physician, new ways we engage with physician. That, as you said, it transformed, right? So we used to, or the pharma, our customer in the pharma, they used to visit a lot of doctors, so that has changed from face to face. So the pandemic was an opportunity for them to reinvent themselves. So personal challenge as well, marketing strategies and automation. So 70% of healthcare provider, the healthcare professional, the HCP, are now digital enabled, okay, and digital native. So this double after the pandemic, right? So traditionally, the reps were visiting the doctors and the nurse practitioner face to face. There was lightly or no digital interaction that much, okay? Everything changed for two things. First, the pandemic, so they were forced to move to a virtual, plus the telehealth and telemedicine. That trend forced the doctors and the physicians to actually use the technology to engage with their patient. So the pharma industry piggyback on that to say, hey, you can engage with your patient, engage with our reps as well. And they're not called sales rep because I think David was great. He was a super highly paid. The reps in pharma, it was a super job. So now they can engage not only with the reps, but other people in the pharma. So they are digitally native. So, so the growth of telehealth as well as bring digital savvy physicians. So I have one of my customer who, instead of planning the visit, because in the pharma, one of your incentive as a rep is how many visits I'm doing, and when I'm doing a visit, what I'm talking about, and when I talk about the product, what are my next steps, and I was rating my visit and stuff like this. So
Different metrics where you're hearing about they calculate differently in the pharma industry.
correct. So because don't forget, the rep don't sell anything to the doctor. They just convince to prescribe. So that's why the data is super component. The data piece is complex because if you're my doctor, you'll prescribe me. I'm gonna go take the prescription, go to the pharmacy, and then buy it at the pharmacy. But the pharmacy, they buy it from Merck's or not Merck's, but from they got delivered through McKesson, and Pfizer sold to McKesson. So you see the whole chain of data. You see, so Pfizer, to know who has bought what, they don't know. So that's why those guys, IQVIA, that's what they do. They connect the data points. It's an influence model, okay? So how do you grade me as a rep? My visits? And this is where this data is super important as well, because you can see who's the prescriber, the doctor, of my molecule. They call it molecule. That's the challenge. So, but here's pharmacies, they make little money or few margin points on selling stuff, big money on selling their data. Okay, so yeah, so those Eckers and those big pharma, the pharmacies group, this is where they make a lot of of money. So they do sell the data. So, and it's anonymized. So they will, and that's, sorry, I'm taking a little more time, but this is an important piece there. So, because we bring that in CRM. So we take the data from the pharmacy. So the pharmacy will say, Dr. Brill prescribed this molecule in this zip code or postal code in Canada. Okay? You won't know the patient, you won't know, so it's not confidential. So if I'm taking back this data, putting it in Creatio, then I know who's assigned Dr. Brill, and this is where I can see the rep, the efficiency of the rep. Correct. So this is why not only the visit is good, another way to measure exactly, okay? So, and then you change the conversation. And what you said with your product, and this is exactly what the doctor wants. They don't want to be sold on a molecule. They want to see the benefits. They want to see what's the best for my patient, and where it is. Sometimes those molecules are super complex because so they want to have the information at the right time, at the right moment. So the digital conversation, and I believe that, or the study says it comes from the fact that the doctor engaged with telemedicine, telehealth, really changed their mindset. So they unlearn, right, from yesterday on, okay, I only need to see my people to engage. I can do it through digital. So really big trend. So persona challenge. So as well, exactly like we're seeing in other industry, we want to personalize the conversation. We want to adapt. We want to engage differently with different personas. So the way you're going to speak to some specialty versus general practitioner versus healthcare nurse practitioner, totally different. And that's what Creatio allows as well, is to have those journey personalized based on the personas. So, and they call it CME in pharma, the continuous medical education. So those were the big events where all the medical education. So the CME. So this is where they used to, in the good old days. Now the regulation says you cannot do that, but they were flying doctors in the Bahamas and on big boats and paying the doctor, say, hey, all inclusive. So we completed the implementation on one pharma, and one, there's an older guy in their sales group. So I spent some time with him I was there at the training, and he was there, and we had a little lunch. So we were having a sandwich together, and says, say, do you miss the good old days? Because I know in the good old days, they say, Dr. Brill, if you prescribe my stuff, I'll buy you a pool and have it installed at your home. So he says, you should know, Sebastian, how many pools I install. They cannot do that anymore because they were incentivizing thank you, the doctors directly. You cannot do that anymore. Same thing, exactly. Same thing with the pharma. There's regulation right now. You cannot do that anymore, exactly. So, yes, so I think we talk about that. So bridging the in-person and the virtual. So that's very, very important. By the way, for the pharma, it's really good because they have more data points. They have more information when they engage through digital. So they know, we talked about where they are, the doctors and stuff. So they really can gather more information. They can link the cells to the customer data. And this piece is big, okay? So this is for the prescribed data, the prescribed medicine, the RX, but there's OTC, over-the-counter. So the over-the-counter, right, you don't need a prescription, so you go and buy. So it's a different chain of data, okay? So we get that into CRM as well. So when you're reconciling the prescription, the POS, the distributor data as well, so that comes from McKesson, for example, Cardinal Health, or AmeriSource Bergen. So those are the big three. So they are distributing about 95% of the medication in North America. And we bring that into Creatio, as well as the CME, the ROI tracking. So marketing strategy and marketing automation. We're not, to your point, I think you said it earlier, we're not used to engage physician or healthcare professional in marketing automation campaign. It was kind of big, not the no-no, but we were under the concept that the doctor won't have time to read our stuff, but with the data points we have and the level of personalization we can have now, especially in Creatio, right? You can have different nurture based on your profile, your persona, etc. The pharma industry also start to do marketing automation, right? And they use that strategy to educate the physician. So for sure, we talk about the CME. They are changing as well. So the pharmas are doing more CME. Our customer is a good example. So they used to have those big show. Now they do, quick lunch and learn, and it could be virtual. So they get doctors from everywhere or healthcare professional, and they do those sessions. So for sure, they still visit the hospital, the clinic, but the hospital, it's really still today because of COVID. It's really difficult to enter the hospital. So they do that virtually. So. And all the tactics we're seeing in other industry, like the automated email, the nurture, the A/B splitting, that now the pharma are doing it. Our customers are doing it. So they also find new ways to engage with doctor and patient through web portal. This piece is super important. So it was at some point difficult. The pharma, only few pharma, the big one, were able to be at the point where they can partner with some physician to conduct some clinical studies. The trend is we're doing that now with smaller pharma. Not, even the pharma that rep molecule, they don't do the R&D for it. So this is a change we've seen. So portal is super important now. So we talk about the digital engagement. So we will provide, right, to the doctor the information he needs at the right time. And strategy, the way you manage your sales territory as well. We used to be super complex in pharma because I could be oncology, you could be something different, and then we visit the same guy. We're there. This was super really complicated. So there's lots of tool now to make it simpler. So thank you so much. Let's go to the award.